I've just put myself in here and I never meant it. That was an accident. Never done that before. I was ready to roll the intro. I'm just like, oh, there's me. Jump scare. Do you want to try that again? Do you want to pretend that there was an intro? Let's pretend there was an intro, shall we? Because that wasn't meant to happen. And for the very few people who have actually checked into the stream for it starting, then enjoy that. If you're watching it in video format, enjoy that. Let's just roll the intro, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. A bit of a weird one there, a bit of improvisation going on. I never expected to throw myself up on screen so early. It's Wednesday night. It's been a while since I've just sat down and spoke about Celtic. Number of reasons for that. The obvious reason being there's not been an awful lot to talk about since the end of our last phase of fixtures. We beat Kilmarnock at the weekend. We have now seen ourselves go into international break, which is the worst time of the year for both just us as football fans, but for me, content-wise, there's a void to fill. And it ain't an easy one to fill, because if you've been keeping up with Celtic over the past few days, yeah, we've got quite a bit to talk about, but we've not got any news, we've not got any updates, everything just kind of stays the same. It stays kind of stagnant until next week and we start preparing and we get press conferences, we get a bit more. But for now, we've not had an awful lot to talk about. In fact, I've just been filling the void with career mode videos, so if that's your jam, then can people still hear the music? That's that. I need to turn that off. Thank you for pointing that out. There we go. If that's not your jam, apologies, but there's just not been an awful lot to talk about. But I decided tonight I wanted to sit down and just talk about Celtic. I apologise for the background music. Usually that's the waiting room music. I've got to turn it off. So we're going to talk about a couple of things, but let me just be clear. There ain't a lot. So you guys are getting to dictate the conversation this evening. I want to take some cues, and I'll give you some A's. Just have a bit of a laugh with it, and kind of catch up on what's been happening since Kilmarnock. Have a bit of a gab about the season so far. I have got a couple of videos in mind to kind of recap the opening stages of the league season, but here we are on the 11th of October. We are top of the league. We are 7 points clear of both Rangers and St Mirren. We couldn't envision a better start to the season, and especially when you look at those opening few games where a lot of people were really kind of unsure of where we were going, and there was still a lot of pessimism and amongst the Celtic support with appointing Brendan Rodgers, and a lot of people weren't fully on board. You know me, I've been on board since day one, since before Brendan was in the door I was on board, but that wasn't as simple for everybody. So it was obviously going to be a tough start to the season to win everybody on side, but I think that Brendan Rodgers at this point has done basically everything in his power. We've been incredibly unlucky in Europe so far. I think that the shortcomings need to be evaluated by the higher-ups at Celtic to give Brendan Rodgers the tools. But generally, we've had a pretty decent start to the season. We can't complain, and long may that continue. So, yeah, we've got over 100 viewers in the chat right now. I will talk to you guys. We'll get some conversation going. I want to get the one and only bit of news that kind of came out today done and out the way and spoke about, because it's quite a bit of news. It's not huge. There's not a lot of discussion to go alongside it, but this story was broken by Stephen McGowan late last night. Thank you, Ian, for the donation. You're always in here. I love it. Thank you for the £5. I appreciate it, and I'm bored too. I'm bored. Trust me, I hate international breaks. Especially, it's not like I'm not unpatriotic. It's not like I actively don't support the Scottish national team. I just don't follow it as much as I thought. I'm not into it as much as I'm into the club football. The club football for me is my bread and butter. It's my passion. I love it. The international football, I'm just a kind of outside spectator, hoping things go well, and then glory hunting at the major tournaments. You know, I want my Celtic back. I am bored already, but and congratulations, Doug. That's fantastic news. I hope you're well. Congrats. Love that. I always supporting the channel. I hope you have fun with that, mate. Big stepping stone in the life, isn't it? Well done. Everybody congrats to Doug. This was a story that was broke last night late by Stephen McGowan. He broke the exclusive that the Premiership clubs are going to vote on a guaranteeing ticket allocation for visiting supporters after the palaver, the ups and downs, the arguments, the throwing the toys at the prams, after all the dramatics that we have seen in Scottish football over away ticketing in the past few years. It looks as though we might be coming to a point where solutions are coming in. The Premiership clubs are considering bringing in a rule that would pretty much guarantee a fixed amount of away fans to each and every stadia. So you can't have, for example, Rangers saying, no, you're not bringing anybody, you're only bringing 500. They're talking about potentially sorting that. So a big credit to, I think it was Hamish actually, if I remember. Yeah, Hamish wrote a great article. You all know Hamish. Hamish wrote a great article over in 67 Hail Hail going into the details surrounding this bit of news last night. Essentially, the current rules only state that there must be, that clubs must make a provision for the admission of a reasonable amount of visiting supporters. And of course, over the past few years, that has been entirely disregarded by certain clubs, cough cough Rangers, cough cough Hearts. We have seen tickets scrapped for away fans. We've seen the away match day experience ruined. We've seen the derby of big fixtures ruined, and it looks as though that the SPFL are going to put it down to the Premiership clubs to try and make a solution. Try and come to a solution. Whether or not the clubs vote for a solution, completely different story, but it looks as though the opportunity is going to be there for clubs. So it looks as though they want to go towards the UEFA rule. So as we know, in UEFA competition, clubs are required, it's a legal obligation almost, but they're required to give away fans at least 5% of the ground. They've got to give 5% of all match tickets to the away support. So for example, in Feyenoord, we got 5% of the Coupe. In Madrid, we're getting at least 5% of the Metropolitano. In Rome, we'll get at least 5% of the Stadio Olimpico. It looks as though they want to try and adapt that sort of same ruling over here in Scotland. So it's been said that they're talking about a 5% minimum for all grounds. However, there has in the article been discussed that potentially it might be moved down to 2.5%. For stadiums larger than 30,000, which is what Celtic Park and Ibrox, that could be 2.5%, which brings the number down quite a bit, half that number, of course. But the main thing is, a 5% rule would entitle Celtic fans to more tickets, both at Ibrox, both at Tynecastle, than currently is on the cards. You look at Ibrox right now, you're talking, what, Ibrox, I think, approximately is 50,000. Right, I don't think it's quite 50 on the button, but say 50,000 just for talking sakes. I'm not looking up the exact allocation right now. So that would take a 5% total of that would be, what, 2,500 seats. It's far from the 9,000 we used to be entitled to. Even if it was 10%, it'd only be 5,000. But you're talking roughly 2,500 seats that could potentially be the minimum that has to be given to Celtic fans, which is what? The European allocation, which has been the middle ground for Celtic and Rangers fans at the minute. You know, a lot of Celtic and Rangers fans are, especially on the Rangers side, they're like, no, we don't want to give you the 9,000 back. Maybe we can do the European allocation. But no, Rangers still haven't done the European allocation. They refuse to give Celtic that, but with this new 5% rule, it would mean Celtic get that European allocation. Now, I don't know what that would come down to for policing, safety measures, because we all know these games, there's an added difficulty with the situation at Ibrox. You know, can they safely house 2,500 Celtic fans in that corner of Ibrox? That's a big question. Would they have to maybe go about, change that? I don't know. But if the vote was passed and all clubs voted for it, or there was a winnable amount of votes, you would see at least 5% of Celtic of Ibrox being filled with Celtic fans, which is a much better case than what we currently see right now with the 0%, because at the last derby there was no Celtic fans. We're hearing rumours that there's going to be no Rangers fans at Celtic Park come the December, January time for the next derby. Just to put the shoe on the other foot for a moment, if this 5% thing was passed, that would mean we'd see 3,000 Rangers fans at Ibrox, 60,000, 5% of that's 3,000. So, you know, that's approximately what we're getting. 2.5. I'm seeing a lot of numbers thrown about in the chat. So that's roughly what we're looking at right now if the vote is passed. However, it's far from a done deal. It will need an 11-1 majority to pass. Is that going to happen? I am extremely doubtful. I must admit, I'm extremely doubtful. I think that Rangers themselves are in a position where they know they have a lot of power in this vote. They know if they vote no, all they need is one other club. Will they get one other club? Of course they will. There's other clubs in there who will probably want to stand up to this. Hearts, who have already shown that they think they can do it as well. They think they can sell more tickets to their own fans. That's all it takes. Rangers know that the power's in their hands when it comes to this vote. There needs to be an 11-1 majority. So I don't have my hopes set very highly. It is a progressive next step to opening a dialogue to maybe fix the situation that's currently there in Scottish football. But yeah, I mean, Murray puts up a great point. Only in Scotland could the major talking point be about ticket allocations. A lot of bollocks, I should say, rather than VAR and referees like they're getting in England. Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic that Scottish football, and particularly our supposed great derby, has got to this point. We're talking about a derby which us as Celtic and Rangers fans have lauded for such a great amount of time that is the biggest derby in the world. How can you truthfully stand there and say that this is the best derby in the world when you're not allowing the opposition supporters into the stadium? It's not, and we've killed a massive aspect of what made this derby so great. I don't think it's the biggest derby in the world anymore. Yeah, the football in the park matters most, but the things that go alongside that make the derby. And when you're not allowing away supporters in the stadium, it just takes away such a unique talking point about the game. And it's gone completely. And here we are, we're talking about having to put it to a club vote to see if we can be entitled to go back and support our team away from home. The power does lie in Rangers' hands, and that's the sad truth. Whether or not Celtic will even vote for it, it could be up for discussion, because if Celtic, think it's in their best interest, then they might not either. So we're going to just have to wait and see what it presents when the votes and such do come up. There hasn't the Stephen McGowan didn't say anything about dates or times. It is just a kind of dialogue behind the scenes right now. I don't think there's anything been made official. I think that in my opinion, and look, I know it's not as easy as this, but in my opinion, the people who are making these decisions at the top, the people within the SFA who do have the power to kind of pull the strings when it comes to this sort of discussion, they should grow a set. They should, quite frankly, grow a set. They should be the ones turning round to any club, whether it be Rangers or Celtic or anybody else. They should be the ones that are turning round and saying, no, you need to give these clubs their away support. You need to offer Celtic a support. Maybe it doesn't need to be the 9,000 to start with, but you need to fix that. Or there will be fines. There will be situations that there'll be the punishment that the clubs will have to follow, whether it's Celtic, Rangers, or anybody else. I think that's the only fair thing to do. But nobody at the SFA over the last 4 or 5 years has been willing to step up and do that. So it's a first step, these potential conversations, but is it going to be enough? We'll need to wait and see. However, that is basically the only sort of big news that has came out over the past 24 hours. So yeah, I've seen a lot of comments. I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I do understand, because we're fed up of getting pumped, but I get you. I don't see why they don't just go back to the way it was for the sake of the whole game. The whole debate is petty and pathetic. Like you say, the clowns like Doncaster should be intervening and just making the decisions rather than putting it to a club vote. Clubs should put up and shut up. Yep, absolutely. These are the guys that are running our game. The guys that run our game don't have a backbone. They don't have a decisive bone in their body. They have made continuously bad decisions for the worst of our game. I can't remember, since Neil Doncaster and co have came into power in Scottish football, I can't remember many decisions that have been for the good of Scottish football. They've all been for the worse. They've all been for the kind of digressing side of Scottish football. You know what I mean? It's never been progressing. It's been the opposite. And it's annoying. These guys need to make the decisions, and they're not making the big decisions. So I mean, if you don't follow the rules, kick them out. That should always be the case. Whatever happened to, I remember, and this is going way back. You know what I mean? This is going way back, right? And football is a completely different sport now. And I understand that the game and the world has changed. But I want to go back to the 1950s for a minute, right? And this is a history lesson. I'm only fucking 23 and I'm going back to the 50s. But in 1958, Matt Busby sat down with the head of the Football Association in England. And the head of the Football Association told Matt Busby, you can't play in European football. You're not competing in the European Cup. If you compete in the European Cup, you're out. They came to an agreement, they came to a conversation, and they managed to sort things. But then the rule was, if you're not back in time, if you're not back in the country 24 hours before your scheduled English Premier League game, or as it was the top flight back then, the Championship, whatever it was called back then, you'll forfeit the game. You're out. You will pay the price. And it was hard rules that were put in place. They were rules that Manchester United at the time and Matt Busby at the time abided by. But the punishments were pointed out to them. But now, you don't get backbone like that. You don't get anybody who's got a decisive bone in their body to turn around and say, if you don't follow by the rules, there will be punishment. And I know that's going away back. 1958 is what now? 70 years ago? Almost. I know that's a long time ago. But that's the kind of thing that should be put in place. And that's the kind of thing that should be consistent in football to ensure that clubs and fans are getting the best out of football. And right now, we've not got the best out of a derby in 5 years. We've got best results. We've got great results. But we haven't got the best... product, I would say. Absolutely not. But, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Doncaster gets paid a 33% of all sponsorship funds as a wage, while the 66% gets spread out between the top 12 clubs. I've never actually looked at the numbers and such behind it. But I will agree with Chilpill in saying he's a crook. And I think the whole SFA is run by crooks, to be honest. I think they're all stooges, but hey-ho. Yeah, that's another thing as well. It should be, this 11-1 majority, for me, it makes very little sense. 11-1 leaves no wiggle room. All it takes is one club to kind of pull out of something, somebody follows suit, and that's it done. Make it something like 8 or 9 clubs, rather than 11-1. Anyway, we'll move on, and we'll just have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a conversation about everything else and catch up on Celtic, because... yeah. Why not? Will I be doing... We'll get started with this. Will I be doing the Celtic Hunger Games? The Celtic Hunger Games will be back. Yes, next week. Some point early next week, we'll have it. Don't worry. It's the yearly tradition. Once again, I know it's not... It's a bit of a sillier thing. It's probably more suited to a younger audience. But I've done it every year since I was like 17. I'm never going to stop. We're doing it again. Don't worry. It will be here. I will be doing another one, Mackenzie. Yes, so I've seen a few people talk about it, and it shows me how many people actually really enjoy it. I'm like, don't worry, it'll be here. I love it myself. I was actually going to do it in the last international break, and then things actually ended up happening. I was like, right, I'll postpone it till the next one. So I want to get it done. So yeah, questions and answers. Questions and answers. Let's do a wee Q&A for the last sort of, 10-15 minutes of this stream. Now, I know there's big talking points. There's been a lot of drama amongst Celtic and the support over the past few days. We'll see what comes up in the Q&A before I get into things. I don't really want to deep dive much of it on the channel this time round. But I'll see what's getting said. I want some questions. I want some answers. I want things to talk about. So whether it's in relation to the current team, yada yada, yeah. What are your thoughts on Vickers being called up to the USA squad? Says the 8th treble history makers. Good for him. Proud of him. Happy for him. I wish he didn't, because I would have liked him to have that kind of rest. No travelling, staying around the Celtic camp, taking things light. But I'd imagine that within the USA camp as well, he'll be taking things light. Listen, the managers of these international teams do have correspondence with our managers and club managers. Brendan Rodgers, I'm sure, would have said something to whoever the head of the USA... Who is the head of the US national team right now, actually? USA national... I can't remember from the World Cup. Because I remember it was Klinsmann for years. Greg... Oh, yeah, Berhalter or whatever his name is, yeah. I'm sure he said to him, listen, just take it easy with him, please, because he's just back. But I'm happy for him. Absolutely happy. Absolutely. Why would I not be? Will I be doing any FM content at all when the game comes out? Yes. Yes. I'm a full-time YouTuber now. I need to make money. Milk every fucking cow we've got. What are your thoughts tonight at broadcast karaoke? Myself and Billy will be in attendance, and there'll be a pint waiting for you. I would if I could. Jake. Now that it's karaoke, you make me even more sad that I can't. I would love that as well. Let's see. Division 1, of course, yes. The First Division. That was it, wasn't it? The famous English First Division. Let's see. Questions. Yeah, so, yeah. I'm going to just dance over it very quickly. My political leanings, my political standpoint, and everything else is not hidden. I have made videos on the same topic on this channel. Christ, on this channel, I have donated money to Palestinian aid in the past. Everybody knows where I stand on it. There was a time back during COVID when there was a bit of a kick-up around Palestinian flags at Celtic Park, and I made a video talking about it because Celtic took the flags down. And I made a video talking about it and how I didn't think it was a good idea and a good decision from the club. And all the money I made from that video, I took it and I doubled it and I donated it to Palestinian aid. Everybody knows my opinion and my thoughts on the matter. I'm not going to deep dive into it on this channel again right now at this moment. I've already said my part on Twitter. It's a divisive topic. It is a topic that is ultimately bigger than football. And it's no amount of Ryan118 rants is going to solve a conflict that's happening in the Middle East. It's not going to happen. I have my thoughts, and my thoughts will never be changed, and my morals will never shift. I am very strongly principled and opinionated on the matter. What I think is that Twitter has been a mind-numbing place over the past few days, and what I will say just to end it all is my prayers go to everybody who's affected with what is going on over in that part of the world right now. Innocent people have been killed for not just 2 or 3 days, for decades, and it is a case that I feel very, very, very strongly about, and politically, I'm not going to come on here and shout about it. What I will quickly say is Celtic's statement was poorly thought out from start to finish. And that's nothing to do with the side they're taking on the argument. That's not me saying that we all as Celtic fans should be on one side. And it's not that. Celtic's statement is poorly thought out because it's one of the most hypocritical pieces of writing that I have ever seen published by the club. This is a club who, and listen, I know I said I wasn't going to go into a big rant about it, but this is putting the conflict aside for a moment. This is putting away people's opinions on the side. I'm not talking about bringing Nearbeat on and Leah Labada in. I'm not talking about what you should be thinking about what's going on. What I am saying is for Celtic to come out as a club and release a statement and say that the politics should be left out, that the club don't think that politics should be in the stadium, is absolutely bonkers. This is a football club that played Bella Ciao over the tannoy on Wednesday night before Lazio. And if you don't know much about the story behind Bella Ciao, go and look it up. This is a club that hired a singer to sing the song Grace on the side of the pitch at Celtic Park. This is a club who have released multiple statements and had multiple announcements over the park at Celtic Park, praying the best and wishing for the people of Ukraine. So for them to release a statement to say that politics don't have a place and all of those sort of similar chambers of thought, that rubbed me the wrong way. Because they should have really thought that out before they published it. They should have really thought about some of the things that the club themselves do. I don't like the picking and choosing. And us as fans, no matter which side you lie on, you have the freedom of speech and you have the opportunity to speak for your own beliefs. Just like I have in the past, and I'll continue to do so when I feel the time is right. That's all I really have to say on it, because that was, I've seen a number of Celtic fans who are on a certain side of the side I don't agree with, to do with the whole situation. And they're saying, well done Celtic, and clapping on this statement. And saying, yeah, the Green Brigade shouldn't have those flags and all the rest of it. Well, you shouldn't be singing Grace. You shouldn't be singing Bella Ciao. You shouldn't be clapping when the club's playing it over a tannoy. Because it's pretty much the same school of thought. It's getting politics involved. You can't have one and not have the other. You can't pick and choose. And that was the part that really annoyed me the most. But just to finish off, prayers and thoughts with everybody who has been innocently killed and the families affected in the Gaza Strip. It is horrifying stuff. We are living through a point in time which is truly terrifying and scary. Once again, this hasn't been going on for 2 or 3 years. This has been going on for 50, 60, 70 years. There's nothing that we can do anything about, sadly, but I wish that we could. And that's where I'll leave it for now, because I'm not going to go in and try and push my own political narrative, because I know that rubs people the wrong way. But as I said, I've never had my own agenda. I don't even want to use the word agenda. I've never had my own thoughts, my own anything like that. Everybody knows, and I'm not ashamed of it. You know, I don't care. If you don't agree with me, you don't agree with me. And I guess that's what it's all about. Right, let's see. And yeah, I know. Let the people sing. It's played every week, so the people sing. No, he can't sing anymore. All right, stop playing it in the tannoy then. Yeah. Yeah. I see a lot of the conversation about that just now is what it is. But Nathan, good point. Back to the football. For 5 or so minutes before we talk and go forward. Abada Kyogo and Palma front three looks like it could be tasty for the second half of the season. Absolutely, it could be. I'm excited to see that front three. Obviously, we don't know the exact return date of Liel Abada yet. We don't know when he's going to be ready to play or fit to play again. I'm assuming that it'll be late December, early January. So I'm excited. I am excited. Palma, I really like Palma. I really like him. I think he's going to be good. Which will be good. Who's my favourite current player? God, I don't know. You know me. Even though he goes through some hardships, you know, the guy behind me, I love him. Joe. I've loved Joe. Took to him so easily when he came to Celtic. Outfield wise, I mean, it was Haxer, and then that happened. I don't know. I mean, Callum McGregor's hard to go by, isn't he? Because it's Callum McGregor. Love AJ. I just love the whole thing. I every once in a while somebody special comes along and you kind of you go to them and they're like your care bear, you know, they're your guy. Like this man, the shot behind me, I think for me he was the last player for me who I properly like. He was my favourite player. He was my guy, you know. Now I just generally love everybody. But oh yeah, Matt O'Reilly, baller. I mean, yep, Boric, yep. Boric is always going to be my favourite ever. It is. As I said, every once in a while, you get a player like that. Oh, so this is news to me, Mark. I didn't even know this. I've told you, Twitter's been a hellhole. I've checked out of social media. I don't even want to see what's going on with some of the opinions and stuff. But wow, has he pulled out? Well, we're going to have to see what that... he's not injured, just a precaution, says Chef Di. Brendan Rodgers will speak on that next week, won't he? So we'll hear more about that. Do I like Drake's new album? I do. I was actually listening to it in the gym today. It was getting me pumped up, you know. It was good. I like it. I really like the song with SZA. Is that how you say it? SZA. SZA. God, all these names. I like that one. That was good. What is it, like Slime Up or something? I can't remember. I've only listened to it once through, so I couldn't tell you all the songs names and such so far. But I like it. Scales is the new hero. Well, he's up there, isn't he? Liam Scales. He's up there for being the new hero. I have a lot of fans for Scalesy now, and rightly so. Could the partnership of Vickers and Scales be better than Vickers and Starfelt? What I'm going to say to this, Paul, I don't mean to piss people off. I'm not saying it out of a place that Scales isn't good enough or anything like that. What I am saying is, let's be real, Vickers and Navrowski is going to be the partnership again very, very soon. Scales will have his chances, and I don't think he'll just be binned and not given opportunities and never play again. But Navrowski we bought for £5 million for a reason. That is going to be the growing partnership, and that potentially could be better than Vickers and Starfelt, but we'll just have to see. I think England will get its independence. Hope so. Brendan Orange, somebody said. You know me, I'm a Brendan boy through and through. I always have been. I love Ange. I love him, but I mean, you know what I'm like. Aye. What's my front three right now? Well, with including injuries, it would have to be Maida, Palma, and Kyogo. That would have to be it. Which is slightly annoying because obviously neither Maida or Palma are a naturally right-sided player. But until I see enough from Tilio to suggest he should be in the team, that would be my front three for now. until Abada's fit again. So yeah. But aye, I'm going to wrap it up there because I've been going for about half an hour. We've had rants, we've had everything else, we've spoke about a hell of a lot of stuff. But that's going to be me for tonight. If you want more of these live streams throughout the rest of the international break and you just want to have a wee chat and talk about different things, let me know. I would be more than happy to talk about it. But I've enjoyed this tonight. So yeah, everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We're back in the channel tomorrow. And we should be here all weekend as well. I'm off it. I'm not touching the booze for a couple of weeks. I'll be in all weekend. We're making videos all weekend. So yeah, thank you everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. It's been a pleasure and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.